All right, good evening, everybody. We're going to do a little soft opening here. Saw this OCS game, get a little bonus coverage, wanted to jump right into. We've got an OCS game here between Apollyon and MJ Turner. MJ Turner currently 4-1 this month, trying to make a run for it, and we'll get into all that in just a minute. He is playing No Idea, taking on a Trooper ISB build that we've seen pop up a little bit here post MPC. So let's take a quick look at the board. Stardust nicely locked down in the vault here, keeping the No Idea objective on the 0 side, not doing any ping damage. ISB here making the drains -1, so this is 0. Vader stuck over here. What do we got going on here? Vader on table. Force drain -1 here at the system, so this is just a drain of 1. They're fighting over the systems here, kind of stuck between the two. No drain here. This is blocked. Now these guys are going to go beat up on Taidu. Meanwhile, on the flip side of things, ISB, not much of a loss pile. Probably just a couple of ISB agents that it's going to retrieve. It's got guys kind of piled up, and it's flipped. So, yeah, but not an ISB agent, though. We don't have ISB agents at a lot of sites. We do have some trooper assaults, though. Going for the big beatdown is Apollyon. You have to assume MJ Turner's got the Hujix up his sleeve here. He's going to grab the trooper assault. Otherwise, Taidu is just going to be game over, obviously, if he doesn't have the Hujix. You have to imagine with 7 cards in his hand, there's no reason he would just throw random spies down and try and spread the board out like this without a defensive card to protect it. MJ Turner's too good of a player to make that kind of a reckless move. I mean, he is behind in the game, obviously, at this point. But to just brazenly throw down a guy when you see your opponent having, 15 characters, and you're thinking, all right, maybe he doesn't have any left. It's probably not likely. Probably means he's just playing upwards of 20 or 25, especially in this style of the deck. He does grab the Trooper Assault. Cephala has a game text. When deployed or just lost, you can draw the bottom card of your used pile. He declines drawing the bottom card of his used pile, and he will Hujix the damage. All right. Thank you for not making me look like a a liar there, Mr. Turner. And good evening to you, CRG. Coincidentally, those are my initials, too. But yeah, Lightside not in a good spot here. They're not doing any damage. They've got this ship kind of locked down a little bit in space. I mean, you've got Mara. It's piloted by an Imperial with Ozzel aboard, and then you've got Lieutenant Pole, who's subtracting 2 from attrition against it, which isn't bad. But you're also going up against the Bright Hope with Bodhi, which has Leia aboard. And she is with an Imperial leader, so she could add a Destiny to attrition. It doesn't say present with, it just says with. So that will work in space. And then we got Luke over here on Gold Leader and Gold 1. I would imagine the ship is just going to keep moving back and forth between the two systems. But yeah, Turner not in a great spot here. There was also another OCS game going on between He's gonna pick up the rescue and then play the rescue in the lobby between Tartag and Sola Gracia, also known as Dan and Nate. Two West Coast guys playing against each other. Thank you, Chick-fil-A, for staying open during the coronavirus and finding ways to continue to let millions of people enjoy your tasty food and beverages. All right, so he plays the rescue, plays the perimeter scan, so he's got a couple of good destinies kind of stacked up together down there. Chirrut, not at all immune to anything, so he's going to be going bye-bye. He does draw a trooper there, but he can't retrieve. No force left. So this is not looking good for Turner. Now on the flip side of things, he's got 6 cards in his hand, and opponent's got a lone trooper just kind of hanging out by himself. Now granted, he can pop Decree, which he doesn't really need at this point because Stardust isn't doing anything to get a Destiny here. So this guy's not in as too great a danger. You know, he's power 2, he's forfeit 5, so that's covering 7 plus a Battle Destiny, presumably 2 or 3, probably a 3, with a lot of these troopers here. Would get him up to about 10, especially after he retrieves the trooper and puts it near the top. And now that he's cleared this site out, he's going to docking bay transit this whole pile of guys over to here. And then he's going to use the castle's game text and move Vader over to this particular site, the Dark Forest, which looks like this must be the extra site he started. If your Imperial is present, force drain +1 here. So no combat vehicles, so he's not playing the forest clearing. He's playing the Dark Forest instead. And Yoshi, thank you for renewing your subscription for month number 16. Look at that. As expected, Mara bounces away from the bigger risk. And then he should probably retrieve an agent. And nope, he's not going to retrieve. Oh, he doesn't have any. This guy's not an agent, I don't think. Oh, Rebel. Yep, Oberk is one of the. Yeah, there's only like 1 or 2 of the biker scouts that are actually agents. The rest of them, half of these guys are agents. The rest of them are just good Imperials that kind of get doubled up here. So Apollyon sitting at 20, +2 in hand. Turner sitting at 13 and 6 in hand. He's got the 1 retrieval going from Luke, but he's kind of running out of ground sites. I think anything short of clearing his opponent out of space is really going to be problematic for him. He's definitely getting out damaged, that's for sure. And when you start factoring in the ISB drain bonus, he's got ISB agents at a bunch of locations now. All right, there's Corrin Horn. But as we said, Corrin's not going to get it done by himself. I think what's going to happen here, looking at how these guys are all stacked up, Turner's basically got 2 options, which is shuttle these 2 people up to the Bright Hope, if it can hold any more. Yeah, it can hold 8 people, okay. Or he could move them both inside and pick up Stardust. Would start to cause some ping damage. Now these guys here, they don't really have any synergy with each other. They're just a bunch of troopers. Power 6, Trooper Assault, double them up to 12. But it would not give them immunity. Whoops. Ugh. because the text on the vault here, all immunity to attrition here is canceled. So the Trooper Assault itself would not do much. So these guys could easily slide over here, pick up the Stardust. And now they've got a little backup here with Vanden Willard. He is going to see if he can... I mean, he doesn't need to pop the Decree here. He's going to draw the 5, which is the Rescue in the Clouds, which is what draws and forfeits for. The only flip side is if he doesn't want Corran Horn sitting here draining. And it looks like that's what Apollyon's going to do to try and make sure he clears Corran Horn here. This is probably... We don't know what this card is. One card, he didn't lose anything this turn, so we don't know exactly what his Destiny draw is. Well, that's unfortunate. If you knew you had the Tanev in there, you could have deployed the Tanev to space. Tried to battle and clear up there. And it is just a 2. The 2 will not clear Corran Horn. He's immune to less than 3. But he does redraw it using Domination. And this should be a 3. This should be the card he retrieved. Oh, it's Trooper Assault. I guess he must have done something. So Darkside will win the battle. They will get to retrieve an Imperial. And everybody dies. Evac control would have saved him from the redraw there, but that's not necessarily the scenario in which you want to use evac, your last evac pull. Torin can stack guys on it, and, do some stuff with that, but will he keep the ships together, or is he going to move Luke back? Mike running out of time here, not just metaphorically, but also literally here on the clock. He's going to shuttle Bodhi down. But it's not going to matter too much here. He's got Ultimatum, but he doesn't have 3 battlegrounds. He's only got 2 battlegrounds right now. So this is going to be a drain of 2, because there's an ISB agent somewhere in this pile. Actually, there's several ISB agents there. This is going to be a drain of 3, and this will be a drain of 2. So he's going to lose 7 of his remaining 18 cards. And that may very well spell the end for Mr. Turner's OCS run hopes of qualifying this month. Obviously, he can still pick up a crap ton of points, by playing out his games the rest of the month and improve his position on the overall leaderboard for possible at-large bids. There's at least 2 guaranteed, and there's always a possibility of more. And here goes a whole pile of stuff. Ray from hand, Galen Urso from deck, Trooper, Hera, Escape Pod. And there just really isn't anything he can do about this pile of stuff. He's going to get battled. His opponent is likely to draw a 5. There's a second Trooper Assault, which will add 8 more power. But as mentioned before, we'll give them no immunity. He'll still have to lose people. Lightside is drawing 2 Destiny here because of Kraken's text, because all their abilities provided by spies and or scouts. He adds a Destiny. So the overall damage here may not be too bad. Now Barrack is also going to draw and subtract, and he's going to use Vandalay to take him into hand to cause the redraw. That's going to be the Trooper Assault that he drew last time, right? I'm so bad at this. Was I not paying attention? Did he spend Force first and activate past it? I don't know. Too busy looking over back and forth at a few other things. I'm not going to try tracking on stream. So he just has the 2. Yeah, there's like 25 characters in this ISB deck. And there's that Tantive again. On the plus side, he'll know where it is if he wants to get it out next turn. It's the bottom card. And at least he gets a 4. So he's not in terrible shape. Depending on what Barrack draws here. Maybe this is... shouldn't be, though, right? Yeah. See, I feel like that shouldn't have been there, but... So he will subtract the 5, basically negating his opponent's total battle destiny. He'll be down by 9. And not looking so good. Let's take a quick peek back at the other game that was going on in the old lobby. See if this game, Throne Room versus Black Sun, well, we've seen that a few times, but they're both down to 12 each. Dan's complaining about a tortoise. That's always interesting in the chat. Tortoise flipped over again, and I had to go save him. Yeah, that's a thing. You gotta be careful about that. If you have a pet turtle. Alright, so let's look at the board state here. We've got an Arica undercover, blocking the drain at the sewers. And this U3PO is also still undercover, and a dark side card. So both of Lightside's drains have been blocked. Qui-Gon's hanging out in the Jedi Council chamber. With at least a Destiny 1 lightsaber that can add to Force drains. Meanwhile, a pile of stuff just got cleared up in space. Padme's gone, Anakin's gone, and he loses 1 battle damage. So all we have left is Ahsoka piloting the Tantive against the Fist with Jango Fett, who's adding a Destiny because he's with the Jedi. And then Bosk and Houndstooth, who currently is not adding anything. No Falcon, no independent starship. Darkseid does only occupy 2 battlegrounds here, so Shadows is not causing any damage, and they are stuck on the 0 side because Luke is at this particular site. 2 bounty hunters here, though, could move on over. And apparently Dan has been alerted to our presence. I guess he's multitasking between the Twitch stream and trying to play a competitive game. Now, if I were Dan, here's what I would... No, I'm just kidding. Oh, that's true. Forgot about Forlom. Technically, yes, he is a bounty hunter. Forlom could bounce himself on over. Cancel Luke's game text after paying 1 to fire his weapon to do that. So then Luke would not be immune to any attrition, and he could easily get cleared out. And that would then flip the dark side objective back, and they could start doing some extra damage, as well as retrieve a force. But first, we're going to get an attempt at a Sorry About the Mess combo, which is going to get Kinton Strider Imbalance comboed and canceled. So U3PO will live to block another drain. Looks like, yes, he was going to fire Luke's lightsaber. Now, what Dan has going for him right now is that his opponent isn't really doing a whole lot of damage. He's basically just draining for 1. Or is this the sight that's +1 with the fist? No. That's this one, the one that Luke is blocking. So it's drain 1, go. You do that 15 more times, you win. These guys aren't doing anything. Obviously, he's going to continue trying to battle in space to clear some stuff out. We're going to get a solo appearance here. Probably likely to try and play the Sorry About the Mess from the Lost Pile again. However, the imbalance combo is used. So Nate, if he tracks it around, can easily just activate to it and then shadows it into hand. So he'll have it for next turn. Oh, looks like we're going to back up. He's not going to play solo. And instead he's going to try and Jedi live to retrieve a character from the Lost Pile. Darkseid is going to sense that. No Imp Decree out. So they will be losing the sense and 2 force. He pitches the Never Yalnal. I wonder if... and prepared defenses off the top. I wonder if Dan was attempting to go retrieve Corrin Horn or somebody there. He does have Wise Advice out as well. So it did just go used. So next turn, Dan can obviously 3PO it right back into hand and try again. Obviously it does delay another turn. Solo's going to go to the ground here. Ahsoka's going to shuttle down. I guess he's just going to lose that Tantive. He's not going to risk putting more guys on it and try and stack up and occupy battleground system for any longer. Dan's just going to concede space, ditch the Tantive and probably the Hujix that he's going to need, because it only covers 12 and he's already at 14 plus a Battle Destiny. Can I talk later about my take on the meta of the MPC? I can try to talk about that. The MPC is always a rather unique tournament, and you can't necessarily extract the meta of it because there's several factors at work there. But we'll try and get into it a little bit. We'll go look at the deck counts. I feel like somebody posted that in one of the threads. But yeah, match play is a very different animal in itself from Swiss events in terms of the OCS and other tournaments, and just in terms of deck choices. Tends to favor decks that either put fewer cards on the table or decks that have good retrieval mechanics. Sometimes it's a little bit of both. If you're Nate in this situation here, um, I mean, obviously, like we talked about it before. Obviously, he can move these guys over if he wants, but he's not. He doesn't. He opts not to do that. That's a control phase that they can make that regular move. And I guess now it's solo there. He decides it's not worth it. Instead, he's just going to clear out space and then kind of work his way backwards. He adds Cad Bane as a pilot up there, getting himself a little extra power. And then we'll probably see him just making sure Dan really does have the Hujix. There it is. And then I expect him to shuttle these two people down. Django and Cad Bane likely to shuttle down here to block this Ahsoka drain. I don't know if he wants to move these guys. Doesn't necessarily need to. They're not really doing anything where they are, but they're really not in any danger. You could shuttle these two guys down and shuttle Dengar up if you wanted to, or move Dengar over. And then Probot can just kind of hang out here and do his little dance back and forth. You know, Qui-Gon moves out, Probot could move over. That whole thing. Is Nate even watching the show? Let's check the viewership. I think I can look at what people are watching. I think there's a way to do that. Ugh. I'm not listening. If you are, you have to concede since it's cheating. Nice. Good counter. Good comeback. I may not be able to see the viewer list because I'm logged in as me and not as the channel host. No biggie. So he shuttles down, he moves Dengar over, he moves the Prince over. I don't necessarily agree with that. I'd rather have the Prince still at the battleground. I don't know what Django's still doing up here. It's not like you need him to be there. Dan's got 2 cards in hand and only about 12 force left to work with. It's not like he's going to deploy another spy ship and battle. I mean, obviously, yes, I guess need that to be a battleground system. But I'd rather have Django, who's adding a destiny, than Dengar, who can't shoot her. That's just my personal preference. So I would have flipped these guys. I would have had Dengar come up instead of moving over, and then had Django come down. So then you'd have 2 battle destiny against Ahsoka. Uh-oh. Nate's reverting. Was he listening? He went all the way back to the beginning of the move phase. All right, we're gonna find out once and for all if he's watching the show. He moves Zam over instead. Leaves the Prince at the battleground. Well, I didn't say anything about Zam, so he's on his own for that one. And he takes the prince as well. Okay. I still stand by what I said the first time through, so he leaves Dengar there. He leaves Django up in space. See if that game ended the other game yet. I forgot to leave the lobby open. Apollyon did win that game as expected. It was looking pretty dire for Mr. Turner. Ahsoka does lose her immunity here, so the second destiny doesn't really matter. Yeah, she loses her immunity with Cad Bane, of course, unless, of course, he, draws a 1, which she still then could subtract to make a 0. I don't know what characters he's got left in his deck. But I was thinking more in just terms of outpowering her and causing overflow, since we already saw Dan Burden as Hujix. If you have, like, Cad and Django, that's 9 power plus 2 destiny. Possibly bring Zam, you bring Zam over too, and then you're like, the same thing, 14, 15 power. But you've got 2 battle destiny versus 1. Obviously, then Ahsoka has to move here or here, where she's kind of trapped. Obviously, Qui-Gon can slide to help back her up. I mean, it's light side's not in a good spot either way, but I feel like the correct way to trap them. Here comes the imbalance combo. Oh, did he not track it and shadows it? He did not track it and shadow ping it. Oh. Wah, wah, wah. Especially he's even got wipe. That's going to sting. It's going to leave a mark. I mean, Ahsoka's not battling anyway, but... So there goes U-3PO. Now Lightside can pay 3 to drain for 3. Cause some force loss here. They're both even at 12 cards, so getting a drain of 3 through. 3 through, 3 through, 3 through. Is certainly pretty big. And there's Jar Jar Binks. Husa is Dusa. And there's the Wisa to get rid of Erica. So well done by Dan there, clearing out both undercover spies. That's going to put him back in the driver's seat in terms of damage output, because now it's drain 2, drain 3. Again, he still has these 2 bounty hunters who could move over, plus whatever he's got in his hand here. And he's not paying to drain, but he does need to get guys to... Actually, that would be an interesting thing to do. Control phase, move Aura over, occupy 3 battlegrounds, draw a card with cause a ping damage, but you're going to need other people to go with it, and that's the thing. Aura's not going to do much against these two. Even take 4-Lom too, obviously, and cancel somebody's game text. If you cancel Luke's game text and you shoot Han, that could be in a pretty good spot, because then Luke will have to die to the attrition. And Dan's going to bring Rey over, give himself some extra muscle and a second battle destiny, and make that drain a little bigger, because it looks like she's got Anakin's lightsaber. Okay. I guess you have to assume Nate's going to find a way to get to a 3rd battleground. And this may be a situation where he shuttles up and then shuttles down to give himself more movement options. Again, that's from this position now. That'd be a way to do it. Move Aura and 4 Llama over. Do a ping damage with shadows. Drain, drain. Uh, shuttle Django down. Move Probot here. Shuttle Dengar up. Something like that. And then you can shuffle these guys back over off this site to back up the Emperor. Yay, 12 months. Congratulations, Leia Daddy. Aren't they both drain of 3? Yeah, they were both drains of 3 because of the lightsabers. But you have to assume your opponent's going to get resistance set up. And he still has a shield pull, so. Oh. He's going to drop Ig with gun. Alright, so he has more characters left in his hand. And now he's going to spend a few force doing some shuffles. There comes Aura. There comes Forlom. The Prince moves to that site for free. Cad Bane moves that way. Okay. As does Zam. Okay. We're just going to ignore Jango Fett. And then he draws the card by just drawing it. Oh. Nate, you just missed the Shadows ping. Buddy. I'm going to guess he's not very familiar with this deck. Maybe it's something, everybody's got their decks that they just haven't played very much, that they're, learning and working through the mechanics on, so. The 12-month foil is the map objective. This would be a gross keep your eyes open V. It would be that. A blaster deflection, which we saw him lose earlier, and he's already used his solo from the lost pile. If he blaster deflection Forlom, which he'd have to pay a force to use, then game text would remain, and he wouldn't be able to pay for these other weapons. So that would be pretty busted if Dan has a second blaster deflection, but I don't think he does. And judging by the way he activated all his force, I'm going to guess that's not the case either. Yeah, Dan having to pay to drain here is going to make this very difficult for him. Because he can do 2 damage. His opponent does 2 damage but doesn't have to pay for it, so they're even on the damage output there. 3 if he remembers to use shadows and cause the extra ping. And by not having to pay to do his damage, that gives him the force to spend to kind of shuffle people around. Whereas Dan's going to have a force issue in the next turn or two. He flip-flops Ray and Obi. So that way if he's going to pay to drain, he's going to drain for 3. Or at least attempt to drain for free, for 3. Not necessarily sure that's going to work because obviously his opponent does still have at least one shield pull available to him, possibly more. We don't know if he's used a cold feet or anything yet. And Ahsoka and Qui-Gon split up, wisely protecting the Jedi Council chamber at the same time as you're going to have to force Darkseid to split up here then. Well, they don't need to go to the Jedi Council chamber. Um, but they don't want to leave Ahsoka sitting over here. Honestly, can Dan afford to pay to drain 2 more times in 2 spots? That may be the bigger question. Tough spot if you're Nate because you're trying to think about if do you need to battle here? And I would argue that right now I don't think you need to. I don't think you do. Drain one, drain one, draw a card with shadows, cause a ping damage would be 3. Shuffle a couple of these dudes over here in front of Ahsoka, Cad and Zam or whatever. And pull resistance. And we've got a firepower shield. So not pulling a resistance shield. Instead, he's going to pull a firepower shield 2 or 3 turns too late. He would have had opportunities earlier when like Jar Jar was deployed to retrieve force because no battles took place that turn. He's going to verify his reserve deck and see what that destiny is. But they don't share it in the chat, so we'll just have to guess it's a 4. I don't know. Could be anything at this point. Could be a Force Lightning, something else. Alright, so there's the Shadow card draw. That'll cause the 1 Force loss. Dan loses 1 more card from hand. So he's down to 8 total life force. And he does get the opportunity to shuffle his deck, trying to use Qui-Gon here, because he did lose force from opponent's effect. You can take into hand an Episode 1 interrupt, accept control. Which does help you get things like Wisa or speak with the Jedi Council to potentially get your activation earlier and whatnot. Dan's reserve deck is 1, 5, 5, 5, 5, 3. So he's got 4 5s, a 1 and a 3. And if the 1 happens to be a Luke that he could redraw, that would be pretty good. The 1 is Luke, the 3 is Leia's gun. Well, we don't have Leia on the table, so the gun's not really all that useful. Okay, thank you for sharing, Daniel. We appreciate that. the MPC, is there a top 8 AI foil? Yeah, I don't have the exact list uh, of this year's foils and stuff. You know all the top eights. There are uh, there's an annual foil. Like last year we had the castle and the Luke's hut, the saddle, or whatever. And the year before that I think it was Profundity and the Star Killer base. There will be those again this year, but again, all that production stuff is all delayed because of the quarantine issues around the world. So I have not received any of that stuff. I can't tell you exactly what it will be. Um, Maybe I can look it up and find out. But yes, there should be those types of foils available this year. So let me see if I can find that while they're just doing this little dance over here. That currently is going to end up with Nate winning the game with about 3 or 4 force, assuming he doesn't run out of time first because he's only got 12 minutes left on his clock. But we're going to go check out and see what we've got for this year. It currently just says TBD. Oh, wait a second. Yeah, TBD, TBD. There's all the OCS foils. It appears that the top 8 foils this year will be AI foils of the Conquest and the Tantive 4. Don't have that confirmed yet, but that was what was in discussion. So I believe I don't know when those will be printed or released, or obviously they may get delayed, may not happen. Don't get your hopes up, but I think that's a good possibility. So spoiler alert, newsflash, uh, that may be what's given away. All right, so we got the old shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. Everybody just continuing to shuffle around. What Nate really needs to do is find himself a used interrupt that he can draw with shadows and then play to keep putting back each turn. Uh-oh. Luke just found himself sitting all alone. But he does cover up all the drains. So he's just going to take the one in space and possibly a shadows ping. And curiously enough, Nate doesn't leave any cards available to battle Ahsoka. Now that one I would have thought he would have done. Unless he's afraid that card Dan's clutching in his hand is Run Luke Run, which is a possibility. We do see that in some throne room lists. So he drains for 1 at Coruscant. Dan top decks Lando. He's going to Shadows and he's going to top deck an Escape Pod. just move his guys out of the sewers. Yeah, I'm not real sure that firepower shield, man. That may be the difference maker. Not being resistance to cap that drain at 2 and letting it be a drain of 3. He's going to lose 2 or 3 extra cards over the next couple turns because of that. He'll leave Forlom behind. He'll just take Aura and Ig. He'll move Cad to back up. And take Dengar. Dengar's useless. Dengar's not hitting any of these guys unless he's got some Emperor's tracked. And even then, he's not hitting. Dengar's not hitting Qui-Gon. And he'll move everybody over in front of Qui-Gon now. Okay. I guess Tartag had an option before activating, maybe at the end of Nate's turn. We get revert number 12 here. Oh, the one card in his hand was a Wisa. Okay. So not a Run Luke run. Instead it's just a Wisa. So he's going to put it back so he can have 6 force available. So now Dan will have 6 force available. He can pay 3 to drain at the sewer, and then he'll have 3 force available to move people as necessary. Nate dumps a P59 and an O switch off, and then has to top deck 1. I would expect Dan's going to back up Luke with somebody. Maybe just move Obi out. Give him a second guy, second weapon. And then obviously Qui-Gon's got to move somewhere. Yeah, sometimes just pulling the wrong shield can make the difference in the game, kids. Yep. He's limiting. Dan's doing a great job here, limiting his opponent's options. And he'll take solo as well, just for poops and giggles. It's not exactly required. And I don't know really what Nate can do in this situation now. He's kind of got himself stuck in a rock and a hard place. can cause 2 force loss, taking Dan down to 4 cards. But that only leaves him 3 force with which to move people around. So Dan just might squeeze this game out after all, based solely on the extra damage a turn he's getting from the shield pull. Yep. Move Zam or somebody else. Yep. You can draw that last card with shadows. Goddamn Dengar. Stop moving Dengar. Dengar sucks. Oh, the sewer text to retrieve a Corellian. That would be an extra way to get some force back if he hasn't, if he's got a certain spy killing book author floating around in his deck, in his lost pile that he could retrieve. There goes the cold feet. Yeah, Dan's going to squeeze this game out. Dan's going to squeak this game out. We'll say well played, Dan, for doing a great job here. Doing a job of shuffling around, mitigating damage, and kind of grinding one out from his opponent. If Nate is looking for any takeaways from this game, the firepower shield wasn't the one you should have pulled. You should have pulled resistance. You also missed 1 or 2 opportunities to shuffle guys and do shadows ping damage that would have made it harder for Dan to be able to afford to pay to drain and move at this late stage of the game. And those tiny little things there could have been the difference between a a win by 3 or 4 and a loss by 3 or 4. So and he'll shadows draw the card and suicide himself, but it does not cause force loss once you're dead. So Dan sneaks out a win by 4. Congratulations to him. We'll shut this down and head on back to the old lobby. And before we jump into any other games here, looks like somebody else has got one up. Let's do a quick recap. Let's start over. Let's get the show going. We did some bonus coverage for 45 minutes. All right. So, good evening and welcome to episode 81 of my weekly GEMP game review series show. We're back after taking a week off after last week's exhausting Match Play Championship weekend. And this weekend we had lots of great coverage again, and we wrapped up the Match Play Championship. Congratulations to Hayes Hunter for winning that tournament, beating Jared Konsker in the finals. Congrats to Jared on making the finals of a major tournament. And the OCS here is wrapping up. You still have about 3 days, just under 3 days, because the server clock is about to kick over here to the 28th. So you'll have the 28th, the 29th, and the 30th. So you got exactly 3 days with which to play your games to make sure you get to at least 8. I think we may have shown this before, but in case I did not, the OCS foil, it's hard to see. It is the Falcon, the Junkyard Garbage card. That's the 0 side of it. See if I can't get one without the glare from the monitor. It's a dark foil, so it's kind of hard to see and really make out the picture. This is the April OCS foil, and well, spoiler alert, but the May foil is the other side. So we want to make sure you get at least your 8 games in over the next 2 months, so you can get both sides. This side I actually like quite a bit. The other side's a little dark and really hard to see. Uh, but make sure you get your 8 games in at least to get yourself a copy of the foil for April and May. And we'll take a peek at the old leaderboard here. April, bam, down there, almost over. A Rebel Spy wins his last game to go to 11-1. Congrats, Joe. He's sitting at the top of the leaderboard right here. And by virtue of a pretty high strength of schedule here, Brian Fred at 10-2 is in the number 2 slot. Brian Fred lost his last game to teammate Mike Kessling earlier today or last night. See, just when you think like people are like, oh, it's your teammate, you should have just thrown the game and let him win. That's not how we do things in Team New Allies. You play to win the game around here. We're out for blood. So high strength of schedule. He's sitting in second place. Justin already qualified, so even if they flip-flop a little bit here, it'll still pass down to the third spot. So Connor's the odd man out. He's going to have to make up a lot of ground. I'm not really necessarily seeing that happen. Depending on who he played and who still has games left, maybe, but that's 15%. That's a lot of ground to make up. How bad it would look to have the regular art 0 side and the AI 7 side. Yeah, that's certainly true too. I don't know. Maybe that'll look better. Maybe you can mix and match, get your right pairs there. In terms of anybody else still in striking distance, Bastion can get the 30, as can Wayne. Tom can get the 30. He's already qualified. Anyway, Yoshi 5-2 could make a run to get the 10-2 and get in this mix at the 32s, but he'd have to get 5 more games in and maintain. They'd have to be against people who also perform well to keep this. And these guys are all locked in at 12 games. There's not a lot of people up here at the top of the leaderboard that you can play. That'll boost your strength of schedule. Most of the games you're going to get are going to be in people in this range down here who are trying to get to their 8 games by any means necessary, and usually that's when your strength of schedule starts to slide a little bit. So that's not looking so good for Yoshi, but he can obviously still make a run for it. Fox, the other one here, sitting at 5-1. Fox was talking on the forums. Obviously, he had a baby 2 months. His wife had a baby 2 months ago. He didn't have a baby. His wife did. So he's struggling finding time to play. He's certainly going to try and make sure he gets 8 games in, so he gets his foil at least. But whether or not he's going to have time to play 6 games in the next 3 days, especially considering his European time schedule and the number of available European opponents, could certainly be a challenge for him. Dan down here at 4-2. Yeah, you got a few people down here in this 4-2 range who would have to win out and go 6-0. Not saying it can't be done, but that really just puts them into a tie here. And to go 6-0 and pick up wins against people who have high win totals in order to improve your strength of schedule enough to pass this 57% of Brian Fred. Pardon me. I'm not optimistic about both of those things happening, so we'll leave it at that. The May OCS is open. League is already set up and created. If you are not a member of the monthly season pass holder, you can still pay your $10 and purchase the 1 month only and get added in. So that's still an option for you. But let's talk a little about the old Match Play Championship. Somebody wanted me to discuss my thoughts on the meta. Well, we've got somewhere in here, there's a deck list breakdown. These are people just screwing around. There's the download of them all. Copies of cards, most common cards. I guess we don't have the... Maybe I'm missing it. Actual list of... Maybe it's in the old Jawa Cup. Maybe it's on the front page. I know they copied the list over. So we got all these right here. And these are all just alphabetical. But maybe it was in the Jawa thread. I apologize for this. Wasn't prepared for the question. But that's another thing to discuss too. The Jawa format being changed and this new Bunta Eve Jawa Brawl that Corin is starting here. So make sure you sign up for that. They were doing some discussions about what to keep and what to get rid of for that. They used the April OCS results. Black Sun, ISB, Court, Huntdown, IE, Hitco, No Idea, Throne Room, Legend, and EBO, basically, are what they have decided, I guess, as the ban cards. Well, that's certainly going to be an interesting meta. No Black Sun, no Court, no ISB, no Huntdown, no Entanglements. So a Stunning Move should still do pretty well in that. No Idea, Hitco, Throne Room, Legend. So light side mains, EBO, all kind of getting banned there. Old Allies certainly has lost some of its natural predators. You could see your map resurgence, but map without the mains decks could certainly pop back up. Could still see stuff like CCT, Flip, Scum. That deck's pretty good. The Gigawatt Alien deck that was came out of the MPC could certainly pop up for the Jawa Cup. Probably won't see ROPS still. I don't feel like that deck is in a good spot. Could see some type of like... Actually, bring them before me may not be a bad choice. No Hitco, no Throne Room. It's not going to be, maybe Watch Your Step or something like that. It's going to be a deck that's going to play a number of Lukes. But otherwise, it's probably what? They're just going to have to give you the shield and to avoid losing the damage, and then that kind of takes some things out of play. So there's certainly an option. TTO or any other Endor Ops decks are still alive and kicking. But yeah, a Stunning Move or some type of Invisible Hand start with Slip Sliding Away could be strong. Senate could be a good choice for either side. So lots of options open for the Jawa Cup, and Watch Your Step should be pretty strong here. Without Court, without Huntdown, without Entanglements, without Black Sun, Watch Your Step isn't a bad deck choice either. Yavin 4 Ops still available. That's a deck that's certainly made a pretty good name for itself. So still plenty of good options in the Jawa format. Jawa Cup new event is in the forums. Deck breakdown post. Yeah, except that's... Alright. Yeah, the stupid Dark Deal deck. Mind what you have learned. Well, Mind What You Have Learned may not be a bad choice, because the decks that usually give Mind What You Have Learned a problem are the decks that do quick damage. Take Huntdown away. Now, Watto's still around too. Watto's always a good choice for decks that do quick damage. Squado plus Search and Destroy, and suddenly you've lost like 5 cards before the end of your first turn. Uh, the end of your first turn. And the amount you've learned is like they need to do their thing and put Yoda out, and now they're like, all right, Search and Destroy has hit me twice, and yeah, certainly have some issues there. Rebel Strike Team, Rebel Strike Team could always be a thing. Yeah, map could be good. So there's 4 or 5 options that I expect to see for each side. That's kind of the point of the Jawa Cup, right? You take out 4 or 5 of the top decks from each side. Everybody moves the tiers down a little bit, and suddenly the decks we haven't seen ad nauseum for the OCS, for the MPC, for all that kind of stuff get some new life. It's also an opportunity to explore some new decks as well. Yeah, Diplo still available. Forgot about Diplo. How do you forget about Diplo, right? Yeah, no, Diplo could still be a good one. Yeah, Invasion just isn't that good. WAP could obviously still be strong too. Prophet, Prophet may not be a bad choice for light side either, which would be another deck that would have a variety of Lukes. So, no Hyperdrive. Hyperdrive's still not good. I just named like 6 other things that I'd play before I'd play Hyperdrive. Now, let's see if we can find this deck breakdown thing. So we can finish our topic, get back to topic, and answer CRG's question. See if I don't screw this up. Hey, look at that. Deck breakdowns. Oh, it was a separate thread in the MPC forum. Okay. So I just totally just glossed right over that. Oh my goodness. Hep, we remembered to log in and actually like watch the show to begin with, and then he actually subscribed. Woo! During a live show. 14 months. Thank you very much, Scott, for renewing your subscription. The PC appreciates your support. Never actually get to see his subscriptions. All right, so there it is. Deck breakdowns. It's a separate thread. 14 Black Sun. Not surprising. Black Sun is a solid control deck. Doesn't have a lot of natural difficulties. Throne Rooms is its one of its tougher matchups, but it can certainly meta for that, as we saw with a lot of people doing the quietly observing start for Arica. You throw in 1 or 2 Never Yalnals to get rid of Corrin Horn, an imbalance combo or 2 to stop the Sorry About the Messes, or just imbalance combo plus a couple of senses to get rid of the Sorry About the Messes, which is usually a card that it considers grabbing. Uh, and then it can really just sort of control its system, do some damage on the ground, little bits here and there, and just kind of gradually grind games out, looking for an opportunity to drop a handful of characters and possibly set up, a Boba Fett beatdown or something like that, and get 3 or 4 Battle Destiny through, depending on the matchup. So not surprising to see Black Sun being the top deck. Hunt Down's always popular in match play just because, again, it causes early direct damage. It puts very few cards on the table. Um, and it does have that constant pressure against your opponent. So if you, win the first game with your light side deck by, 15, the constant visage damage, even though it's accelerating both of your demise, if that happens to be the case if they're on the 0 side, it's still making them lose cards, so it's usually a popular choice for that. Conversely, Court is usually a fairly popular choice also in match play or anything running Scum, because of the retrieval aspect. Being able to extend games by getting 2 or 3 cards back with First Strike per battle really lends itself to a match play environment. ISB has similar control aspects to it. It's depending on which version it is, because we saw the Trooper version where it kind of just spreads and gets a lot of battles and beatdowns, or you've got the the anti-mains version, we'll call it, the field promotion version, where you're just throwing a presence of the Force on the Jedi Council chamber, stacking like 5 guys there, and just being content to just try and drain for 4 or 5 for a while. So not too surprising to see that. New decks, we got the Tadigawatt Aliens, CCT Scum, kind of moving up a little bit. I was a little surprised there were only 3 stunning moves. I thought that would have been a deck that might have, between the stunning move and the SSA mains kind of being played off of that invisible hand kind of thing. We've seen some of that lately, and I thought that might have been a little bit more represented. Maybe instead of like 8 hunt downs, like 5 or 6 hunt downs, maybe trim 1 or 2 or off of some of these. But they are newer decks, so people may not have felt entirely comfortable with the matchups, or just looking at a particular playing tendency of your corner of the bracket, which is the other thing that always skews deck options in the match play championship. For light side, throne room, duh. C hunt down. No idea. Very strong deck, very versatile dual theater deck, but it does put a lot of cards on the table, which can sometimes be its demise. 9 profit was a little surprising, to see 9 people play profit. I can speculate that a number of these people chose this because of the anticipated Black Sun in court, thinking that a gift would really shut those decks down quite a bit. But as mentioned earlier, with the Never Yalnals and whatnot, Probot, sniper combos, things like that, there are a number of counters to a gift, even a defensive fire Hut Smooch combo or something. So yeah, that number is a little inflated because one team really locked in on it with Pittsburgh, and it looks like a number of them all kind of played the same deck. Diplo. Diplo's another solid match play deck, because of the retrieval aspect of it, from being able to win the battles and things like that, and retrieve force, set up celebration for retrieval. It puts a lot of cards on the table, but it consistently wins by about 15, give or take, depending on what you can, the matchup and how you can interact with it. But if you're playing, if you're playing Black Sun, if you're playing IE, if you're playing Scum, you're both kind of trying to outlast each other in that situation, and usually Diplo can pull that out if it can lock up the celebration and get the Cantina Shuffle stuff going. It can really pull out a win there by low double digits, and then if you can pair it well with the deck on the other side, you should be in good shape. Legend, well, Legend just feels like it has so many strong mechanics that it just should be this awesome deck. I still feel like it's just missing that one little thing that moves it to the top of the pile. Excuse me. Certainly is one of the more difficult decks to play. Obviously, GEMP does help with all of the prompts for the mechanics, similar to Black Sun. There's a lot of moving parts with the Black Sun deck on the 0 and 7 sides of the objectives. So yeah, and then Hitco, C Throne Room. And then you get quite a bit of drop off here with these. Yops, personal preference of people, EBO only 1, TIG only 1, WAP not a great deck. Lightside Senate. Lightside Senate is, it certainly can be strong. I don't know what it matches up, other than Hunt Down. I don't know what Lightside Senate matches up really well against out of these decks. ISB and IE spread out too much. Typically Senate wants to kind of hit and run with, EPP, Luke and Ray and Obi. And these kind of decks can spread out and cover multiple sites, so you're still getting excess damage through. Or, a deck like, Black Sun can pile 4 or 5 guys up together, which then makes it really hard for a lone EPP to come in and do a whole big bunch of battle damage. Now you got to get 2 EPPs together. You got to battle. You got to pay for all that stuff. One of them might get hit back and can really be a very swingy thing. So I don't know the Light Side Senate is well positioned against a lot of these top decks. I apologize. Dinner's just coming back up on me. It's because I'm talking so much now. Mine, which I've learned, well, we all know who that was. Uh, Hidden base mains, hidden base quads. Thankfully, only one person played this, and of course, I happen to play against him. Uh, but I got lucky and kind of caught him trying to steal signs there and picked him off. Uh, but yeah, that game certainly had me nervous when he flipped over his objective, and I was thinking to myself, all right, I really wish I had won game one by a lot more um, to try and have to deal with this hidden base quad lockdown shenanigans. But fortunately, I was able to get an early space battle go my way, clear out his loaded up capital ship, and cause a few overflow, which top decked a few other ships and guns in the process, and then just lean on him from there. My What You've Learned club. Yeah, you guys do need your own club. Um, but Matt, you didn't play it. You actually chose and played good decks um, instead of My What You Have Learned. So that was the NPC meta. Obviously, I expect things moving forward. If you're looking at like May's OCS, I'm sure these decks right here, people will try them out a little bit more, try and get a feel for them. They'll be the new flavors of the month. This deck's been around for a little while, but a couple people did have some decent success with it. So I think this will be, a good mid-tier deck that people, want to try out as a change of pace, mix things up a little bit. You're getting tired of, if you've played 12 games the last couple of months, 6 dark side games with the same couple decks up here, and you're looking for something new. This could be one of these could be the ones you play. Obviously, we're going to see this deck continue to make some strides, as well as some of these SSA starts continue to evolve and develop. I have a feeling Tig may pick up in popularity, considering Matt Wadden made it all the way to the Final Four using Tig. People will continue to experiment with Prophet and No Idea, because there's this, No Idea being a strong deck. Again, certainly takes some getting used to. Prophet as well. Not a deck people have played a lot recently. We've seen a few people using it very well. I know Jared Napolitano used that the month he qualified. He was pretty much primarily playing Prophet. So, but again, it's a comfort level with it of knowing when to go at your audience chamber, when to go elsewhere, when decks you can spread against. Decree being on a lot of dark side decks with No Idea being as popular as it is. Um, kind of does limit the profit damage aspect of it. So that's when you see the other pings, the good blaster ping, the BB-8 ping, that kind of stuff work its way into the decks to try to diversify the damage. Because if you're hoping you're just going to just stack one or two sites and then do, drain three, and, 2 or 3 profit damage or whatnot, that's probably going to get reduced to 1, and it's not going to be enough to kind of carry you through. The drains will get capped by resistance because your opponent can spread, because you've got a bit of a limited character pool, and given that you can't do anything if Han dies, you kind of have to overcommit a little bit to protecting Han, and that can certainly slow profit down in terms of its damage output. And down here we just have some fun Fred decks. Some guy will continue to keep playing Mine, which you have learned. Some guy, 1 or 2 guys will continue to keep playing WAP, just because you'll see this stuff more in the Jawa Cup, I'm sure. So there's my post NPC meta upcoming May OCS meta analysis. Hopefully, some of you found that helpful. Casual for Plumber Tim. Plumber Tim's back. Where's Plumber Tim been? We miss Plumber Tim. He hasn't been around for a while. Hopefully everything's okay for old Plumber Tim. We haven't seen him on the forums. We haven't seen him on GEMP in a while. Used to be on every night, playtesting against Kimura, leading up to major events. He was traveling and coming out to some events, and then kind of just, took a step back for 6 to 12 months. I want to say it's been like a year since I've really seen Plumber Tim at over a year since he's been to a live event. Maybe like, almost 2 years maybe since we've seen him travel, which is unfortunate. Plumber Tim's a good guy. So, what do we got going on here? We got Tartag and Apollyon, guys who we just saw playing, are now playing against each other, trying to get their OCS games in for the month. I believe this is Apollyon's last game. He's sitting right there. And then we've got Tartag trying to break up this little 14-point log jam for 38th place. Is Kessling gonna? No, Kessling's not in the spot to make a run either. We'll pop in and watch and see what Dan can do against these troopers. And then we'll wrap up the show for tonight. Alright, so we had a big old battle here at the forest. Looks like Tarkin was excluded, whether by barrier or some other means. Colonel Wolf got hit. E-Web Blaster was not able to be used, I'm guessing, because no force saved. He's top decking a few cards to battle damage here. He lost a Vader from hand, a Never Yalnal, a point man, a patrol, and forfeited Colonel Wolf. So Apollyon taking a big hit early in an early battle here. 6 cards still in hand, though, against Luke and Ahsoka Tano. He's got space pretty well situated with, this is Ozzel and Corporal Vandalay. Yeah, Art Vandalay. Vandalay Industries. Previous battle, Dan drew 3 loose Rebel Scouts for Destiny, so he just took them all into hand, I guess. Alright. This is where we're going to see what Apollyon's got here. So he drops a patrol. He drops 2 patrols. They're not cumulative, though, so they're not adding to the totals from extra people. They're only just getting that. But they are ISB agents, so they do trigger Tarkin. And there's Wallen adding to the battle for free. And if this last card in his hand, or 1 or 2 of the last cards in his hand, is a trooper assault, this could be a crap load of power. It is not. Alright, so Narthax will reduce Luke's immunity by 3 until the end of the turn. I'm not really sure that was worth the use of a force, but okay. So we spent a force to make Luke immune to 3 as opposed to 6. Which doesn't really make a difference because he's outpowering him by 12. And even if he draws low, enough that it makes a difference, Ahsoka's just going to do her thing. So he swings at Tarkin, and he cancels it, and then gets lucky, and he draws low on the second one and misses Tarkin. Usually you save that Tarkin for their battle destiny so you don't lose anything, but especially against a deck like Throne Room with only ability 3 and Luke adding 1. Definitely lucky with the Hoojiks there on the second one. Otherwise, that would have been a big whiff and a big waste of your Tarkin draw, because then you'd lose Tarkin and at least one other person. Uh-oh. Is this just my internet, or did GEMP crash? Well, it looks like Dan's out too, so maybe it was GEMP. Let's see if we can't get into the old lobby. Alright, well the forums work, so it's not my internet. And obviously I'm still streaming, so that's also a plus. So yeah, it does look like GEMP might have hiccuped here. Oh, looks like it's coming back up. There you go. Just refresh, Dan. You should be able to get back in now. Just a good old temporary setback. Oh. Uh-oh. Looks like GEMP is struggling. Might be time for a server reboot. Okay. Well, given all the hiccups and issues going on with GEMP, I think that seems like a good time to wrap up our show. So, thank you everyone for tuning in tonight. Be sure and do your best to get your OCS games in, to get your foil slips, and keep yourself in the running for the at-large bid at the end of the season. There's 2 currently available. Hopefully we don't need to restart any games here. But be sure and tune in this Wednesday night to Hollow Theater, where, as I understand it, Dan and Jerry will be interviewing the 2020 Match Play Championship winner, Hayes Hunter. Okay, looks like we're back. But I'm still going to wrap things up. You guys can watch Dan lose to Jason all on his own. I don't know. He might be okay here, depending on where things work out. Looks like he's down by a lot of power, but he's got all his Lukes in his hand, so he could be okay. And 10 more cards, and Jason only has 3 left. So, yeah, there we go. So that's going to wrap it up for us tonight. Thank you guys very much. Wednesday, Hollow Theater, 9 p.m., unless they change the time or the date, in which case check the announcements. You'll get maybe something through Twitter or Slack or all those other various media outlets that we have available to us. And we'll see you back here next Monday. We'll talk about what's coming up in May. So have a great night, guys. Thanks for watching.